Keep it simple, phone tech here with another installment in the basic series, and this time we are going to talk about the lock screen. So the lock screen is exactly what it sounds like. It's the screen that you see while you are locked out of your phone. For Android, you'll usually have several different options. You'll have a swipe to unlock, which is the least secure, but at least it will prevent you from accidentally making phone calls, sending text messages, etc. when you're not using your phone. You'll also have an option to use a PIN number or a passcode for an unlock. You'll also have the option to use a pattern to unlock. And then for a lot of the newer phones, you'll also be able to use your fingerprint to unlock your Android phone. Windows, they'll have not quite as many options. They'll have the swipe to unlock. We'll take a look at what that looks like on Windows also. Of course, we have an Android phone in front of us right now that we'll take a look at first. Windows will also have a password, and then if the phone is so equipped, which I think there's not a lot of Windows phones that have this, you'll also have a fingerprint to unlock. And with iPhone, they keep it straightforward. So they usually have a combination of passcode and fingerprint if it's available to unlock the phone. So again, Apple keeps it simple, doesn't give you a lot of options. Since we have our Android in front of us, let's go ahead and take a look at the lock screen, what it looks like. I'm going to press on the home button to wake the screen up. Now, I should mention that this phone is one of the few phones out there that has what's called this always on display. So if I didn't have always on turned on, my screen would be completely black. And in most cases, your screen is going to be completely black, even when your phone is turned on, because as we saw in the previous video that talked about the sleep-wake button, the phone is turned on, but it's asleep to preserve the screen. So I just wanted to mention that because you might be wondering how come this screen is showing the time all the time, but maybe your phone doesn't have that. Alright, let's actually take a look at the lock screen now. Now you're going to notice that because if there's no action done when you actually see the lock screen, if you don't unlock the phone, it's just going to make the screen black again right away. So you'll see me maybe press on the home button or the power button, the sleep-wake button, several times just to wake the screen back up as I'm describing things here for us. Here's the lock screen. In this case, you'll see swipe screen to unlock, so I have the swipe option. So let me just go ahead and turn that back on. And then for Android, you can pretty much swipe in any direction if you have this swipe to unlock. And you'll see that takes me to whatever the previous screen that I was on before. If I did a restart on the phone after I swiped to unlock, it's going to take me to the home screen. But if the phone was already turned on and the screen was just asleep, when I swipe to unlock, it's going to take me to whatever the last screen was on the phone. With a lot of the newer phones, they have options on the lock screen, and then whether this is going to be relevant to you or not just depends on what you desire, if you feel that you need this. But on a lot of the Android phones, you'll have the option to add quick settings, so to speak. So with this swipe to unlock, I can swipe on the camera icon and it's going to automatically open up the camera application. I guess that would be nifty if you were wanting to swipe and immediately go into an application. Some people may find that functional, some may not. One thing I can add, however, is if you have anything besides the swipe to unlock, if you have a fingerprint, a pattern, for example, that isn't going to be too functional for you, because while you can swipe that application on your lock screen, you're still going to have to provide either your fingerprint, your pattern, your PIN code before it actually goes into that application. So that's why I say that that particular function, it may be useful to you, might be more useful if you're using a swipe to unlock. Some additional things that you will notice on the lock screen: you'll notice the time and date, battery life, percentage if you have that set up. You'll notice notifications as well. Now you can turn this off within the lock screen or the notifications options within your phone settings. But in this case, we've got the notifications on the lock screen also. So those are common things that you'll see on your lock screen in addition to these quick applications. Here's our Windows Phone in front of us, and we're waiting to get it in focus. There we go. So let's go ahead and wake this up. We'll take a look at what it looks like on Windows. For Windows, if you do not have a PIN code, which again, they don't have as many options as what you have on Android phones. But if you have a PIN code, you'll have, of course, on the lock screen, the option to type in the PIN code from here. But in this case, if you just have the swipe to unlock on Windows, there's only one direction you can go, and that's up. So you swipe upwards, and that will take you to, again, either the previous screen that you're on, or if you're restarting the phone or if you're powering the phone on, it's going to take you to the home screen or the start screen as Windows refers to it. And for iPhone, it's going to be a similar concept. Let's go ahead and wake our screen up. And if you have a fingerprint, you can press and hold here, and that'll unlock your phone. It's going to be similar on Android, or if you have one of the few Windows phones that has that fingerprint option as well. Or with iPhone, the other way that you can do it, if I touch the screen there, you can see slide to unlock. So I have to slide in the direction that it tells me. It's not like Android where I can slide wherever. So I have to slide from right to left. And then I'll have my PIN code. Now it does say here that you can use either the Touch ID, you can use either your fingerprint, or you can put in your passcode. But that's Apple's simplistic way of opening up the lock screen on their phone. It's either going to be a passcode or that fingerprint. When you do a restart on an iPhone, or when you power it on for the first time, if you do have a phone that is fingerprint equipped and you have it set to put in your fingerprint, you will notice, if you haven't already, is that it's going to ask you for your passcode. So on restart, on turning the phone on again for the first time, or not for the first time, but turning it on again, it's going to ask you for the passcode. You won't be able to put in your fingerprint. So you might have noticed that. In case you hadn't, it does that. Newer Androids, I think on Android 6.0, maybe Android 5.0, I can't remember exactly, but I know for Android 6.0, when you do a restart on it and you have a fingerprint for your lock screen, it's also going to ask you for your password or PIN number. So you cannot use your fingerprint on a restart or when you power the phone on again. And just to show you briefly what I'm talking about, I just powered the iPhone off, turned it back on. So let's wake the screen up. And you'll see right there. Let me pull it up a little bit closer. Touch ID. See how quickly that disappears? So let's do that one more time. Touch ID requires your passcode when iPhone restarts. So you'll notice that on the iPhone. You'll notice that also on Android. I believe it's just Android 6.0 with phones that have the fingerprint lock. And if you do have a fingerprint lock option. Okay, so for this lock screen video, we're not going to go into detail about how to set up different types of screen locks. I just wanted to get you familiar with what it is, if you're not already familiar with it. In a future video, well, I'm going to save it actually for the how-to series, if you want to know exactly how to use the screen lock and see the different screen locks and how to set those up. With that, I hope this video was helpful. This was a little bit, this video wasn't quite as long as some of the others, but again, just more of a basic introduction to what the screen lock is, what it's for. Again, this is Keep It Simple Phone Tech, and thank you very much for watching.